Hey, if you're looking for a starting point for your Garmin Livescope settings, this video is for you. I'm Natural State Fishing Guide Eric Watts. I'm a full-time guide here in Central Arkansas. These are the settings that I use day in and day out. They prove to be very, very beneficial to me, and I hope they help you. All right, so I'm going to switch over to Active Captain so you can see my screen in real time. All right, so here are my actual settings. We're going to go to the Options button. As you can see, my gain is set at 75% right now. Gain is the number one thing that I change day in and day out on my settings. Gain and forward range are just about the only two things that I change day after day. So gain 75%, depth range is set at 40 feet right now. My forward range is set to 55, of course, transmit on. Let's go ahead and go into Sonar Setup. We'll start with appearance. And in appearance, my color scheme that I'm currently running is moss. Again, that's personal preference. That's one of those things that you adjust according to what you like and what looks best to you. I like running my color gain pretty hot. My color gain is set to 70%. That allows my bait to really pop in the picture. So I really like that. Color limit, 44%. Trails are off. Bottom fill is off as well. Let's go back. We'll go to layout. Layout, simple grid overlay. I have the grids on right now. I don't really use them. I could turn those off, but they're on and they don't really bother me, so I've been leaving them on. If I were targeting, individual bigger fish in shallower water, the grids would probably play a bigger role in what I'm doing. But for what I'm doing day in and day out, I don't really need them. Scroll history, I like to leave that off. On-screen control, of course, those are on. Reverse range, here's one that is really interesting. Whenever I hop in clients' boats to help them get dialed in on Livescope, this is one of the things that I just right out the bat, just because I like to have very little view behind my boat or behind the transducer. Here's what happens if you switch it to the default setting. Default gives you about 15 feet behind the transducer. So you get a lot of dead water on the screen, taking up screen space that you don't really need. I don't like that personally. It doesn't really benefit me. Typically, all the fish that I'm targeting are well out in front of my boat. That's what I try to key in on. So that's default. If you go full, it pushes you back even more. I'm looking 30 plus feet behind the boat, underneath and behind the boat. There's no need to lose that much screen. I don't like it. So I keep mine, as stated, at minimum. It just makes life a whole lot easier. Compress range, I run it off. I'll play with compress range. I've never really played with it, so I don't know exactly what's happening there. Okay, let's go back to options, sonar setup. Noise reject. Noise reject, I run on low. Same for ghost reject. That makes the image a little bit rawer, but what happens is if you turn those on, I could clean this image up and I can have it crystal clear. I'm gonna put it on noise reject on medium right now. And if you pay close attention to the screen, everything got a little bit cleaner. It cleaned up the image quite a bit. I'll turn it up to high, cleans it up even more. But what you'll notice is the image kind of slows down. It filters out so much. It filters out so much of the particulates in the water that it makes it really hard to see what you're looking at. TVG off. I always run it off. Overlay data, that's just the images or what's on your screen in the left-hand corner. So I've got temperature, got speed, miles per hour, voltage, and time, and depth range, of course, on the left side of my screen. And let's see, the next thing we'll go to is installation. Install depth. Here's a big one. I've seen varying talks about this. Install depth for me is 1 foot. My transducer sits roughly 1 foot below the surface. If I make an accurate pitch, there it is. I saw the splash down. I can see that bait the whole time. My transducer is actually clicked up just 1 notch above the factory correct position, just so I can make sure I see that splash. And in this depth range, it doesn't have a big impact on what the bait looks down in deeper water, or how the bait looks in deeper water. It has no impact on it. Stabilization, of course, auto stabilize, that is on. Calibrate compass. You know, as you can see, my compass is not calibrated. I don't have the compass on the screen. I don't use it. I don't need it. So I don't really worry about it. My transducer is looking wherever my trolling motor head is pointed. Here's one that whenever I hop in clients' boats, the number one thing that I run into is their orientation. We'll get on the boat, and instead of being in forward, their orientation is set to down, which gives you that image right there. If you're ice fishing or you're vertical dropping right beneath the transducer and you put your transducer in the down position, then this image is perfect. But most people, especially if you're crappie fishing or bass fishing, you want to be in forward mode and looking out in front of the boat. So let's get that back open. Sonar Setup, installation, orientation, click right there, and we're gonna go to forward. That gives you the image that you're looking for, that most people are looking for. Focus. I've got my focus set to 115. What that does is it kind of sets the angle of the bottom for you. I keep mine at 115. I've never changed it. It kind of changes the pitch angle as you raise it up. So you see that the forward range kind of climbed out there at 30 feet. It went from more of a level position like it is now to this elevated position, which is inaccurate. So I don't like that. I like it to be as flat as possible on flat bottom. Same thing when you go down, kind of pitches the angle down a little bit. In simple terms, it just kind of pitches your bottom angle down. Installation, okay. Restore sonar defaults. So let's talk about that. If you are in a position where you are not liking the image that you have, you do feel like you've completely messed it up and you can't get right, restore sonar defaults. You can go back to square one, try these settings that I've shown you today, and then work from there. Depth range. I always like to keep the depth range a little bit deeper than I'm actually fishing. Whatever range I'm fishing in, I want to be 5 to 10 feet deeper than that actual depth. So even if I'm fishing in 5 feet of water, if I'm fishing in 5 feet of water, I want my depth range set no shallower than 13 feet. So like I said, right now I'm in 26, 25 feet of water. Because I'm going in and out of deeper water, I'm going in and out of 25 to 40 foot of water, I'm going to keep my depth range at 40 feet. It makes it really, really easy for me to identify fish, brush, wherever they're sitting at. I know exactly what my crappie look like because I'm crappie fishing 99.9% of the time. I know exactly what they look like, and I can pick up on them really, really quickly. Now, forward range. Forward range, I adjust quite a bit. Whenever I'm searching for fish, I may set my forward range out 100, 110. When you're looking 100 feet out, the width of your beam at 100 feet is ridiculous. It is, I'll do the math on it. I'll let you know exactly what it is. But I'm estimating it's going to be somewhere about 40 feet wide. The cone angle is about 40 feet wide. It's really, really hard to pick up tiny images. Even a 12-inch, 13, 14-inch crappie at 100 feet away from you is really, really small in the wider scope of things. If you want to know more about the width of your cone angle at various distances, let me know in the comments below. I've got an idea of how I can kind of paint that picture for you, so let me know. I set my forward range out pretty far so I can pick up on bait fish, or I can pick up on structure, and then as I see it, I can close in on that. Now, as far as gain goes, you can see my gain is set a lot higher than a lot of people will tell you to run it. I will actually run gain all the way up to 80, 81 sometimes. I will run it super, super hot, especially in the summertime. When I've got a thermocline set up, I'll run my gain super high. It just allows me to pick up on fish as they drop down into the thermocline. It helps me identify them a lot quicker. That's a really, really grainy image and it's blown out, so I don't really need that much right now. 75 gives me a clearer picture of what I'm looking at, and I can still pick up fish pretty good. Right here, let's play with color gain a little bit. I want to show you the benefit of setting your color gain up a little bit higher. So as I said, my color gain is set at 70. See how bright that bait is as it falls? All right, I'm going to bring that back in and I'm going to adjust that color gain. I'm going to take it down to 30, 29. Bait is not quite as bright. It's still bright, but you filtered out a lot of the extra sediment and everything. And even as it's dropping, I'll bump it up. So you can see it really, really pop there. That's the benefit of having your color gain run a little bit higher. And again, I've got it higher even than I've been running it now at 73, but it makes that bait really, really pop. That's where I've been running it. I mean, I can see that thing bright as day. I think that's a bass. Let's see if he'll bite. He doesn't want to bite. And for anyone that says Livescope's cheating, there you go.